one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits.
Hey everybody, so what the hell is going on inside Nancy Pelosi's mind? Biden's giving the State of the Union and he's describing soldiers' horrific injuries and deaths in a burn pit. And Nancy's rubbing her hands together giddily. Ooh, burn pits. Warm myself by the fire with marshmallows. It's great that she feels that way about burn pits, because that's where she'll be spending an eternity. So that was a great State of the Union speech, right? Joe waited longer than any president to deliver it, and boy was it worth it. Lies wrapped in Benadryl. Joe's doing so well that 78% of Americans think we're headed in the wrong direction. And year 2 is just getting started. I'm surprised that Biden even bothered to write a speech. He could have just loaded up Carter's Malaise speech in the teleprompter and called it a night. Okay, a quick break for the commercial. Please subscribe and hit the bell. Okay, moving on. So I'm going to go ahead and ask what everybody's thinking. Is Hunter going to suit up and fight in Ukraine and save them?
And your father ever discuss Ukraine?
No, as I said, the only time...
I mean, because the guy made a lot of money there, being on the board of Burisma and all. I thought Ukraine was like a second home to him. I bet you he can't wait to fight side by side with Zelensky. Show how brave he really is. The war drums are beating, it's getting serious. 12 Russian diplomats were expelled from the country for espionage. The Chinese spies, they're cool though. Eric Swalwell vouched for them.
Cheat an election.
With war breaking out in Ukraine, Biden did what he does best. He disappeared. Put a lid on it. He went back to Delaware for the weekend to rest up, recharge, and come back strong with a new plan to take out Corn Pop.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
By the way, if Joe handled Corn Pop like he does Russia and Afghanistan, there's no doubt in my mind that Corn Pop beat the living shit out of Joe.
Go get him!
We're now punishing Russia with economic sanctions. And I was just kind of curious because Justin Trudeau did that to the truckers. Did the truckers invade Ukraine? When did that happen? The mass mandates are ending for the State of the Union speech. Or maybe it was the Super Bowl. Or Obama's birthday party. Or Gavin Newsom at the French Laundry. Or those 50 million other times our rulers ignored their own rules. I don't know why you would, but if you watched The View a couple weeks ago, you heard the standard excuse for hypocrisy.
Make decisions like this. Why has the messaging been so inconsistent?
Science changes things.
Science changes things, or the science changed. Really? Oh, the science changed, like completely. Like it transformed like a werewolf? No. See, the thing that has been rock solid consistent is the hypocrisy. It's not that the science changed, it's that the powers that be wouldn't allow it to change. The information was there, it was just blocked. Joe Rogan recently explained this.
I don't think cloth masks work. You would be banned from social media. Now, that's openly and repeatedly stated on CNN. If you said, I think it's possible that COVID-19 came from a lab, you'd be banned from many social media platforms. Now, that's on the cover of Newsweek.
The masks weren't based on science?
It's really, really loose science.
Gee, it's not science that's changing. It seems the polls have been changing.
The decline in the president's polls, even on COVID, on how he's handled it.
Biden and Fauci have been taking a beating for months when it comes to being trusted. Polls seem to have a profound effect on the science. Fauci once confessed to that, and you should remember it. If you think that science is immune from politics, think again. All you have to do is think back to the election. Remember, within a couple of weeks of the election, Eureka, the vaccine is ready. A most major development that would have helped Trump immensely. But no.
Regeneron, you also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks?
Yes. Nothing suspicious about that. Of course, the Pfizer CEO said that politics played no part whatsoever. And I'm sure that was also the case with Moderna and AstraZeneca. Of course they're lying, and of course politics was a motivation. If you're a big believer in the vaccine, that means people were left to die over politics. That's a big story. And here, now that COVID is exiting, you get a study showing that the Pfizer vaccine is not particularly effective against Omicron in kids. And I'd be interested to see the numbers on adults, since everybody seemed to be getting Omicron, vaccinated or not.
But wait! There's more!
There is more. The FDA, our government, lost its case to stifle Pfizer trial data for a half century, and instead had to release results the other day. What do you know? 9 pages of side effects. Remember, if you didn't take the vaccine, if you didn't force your kids to take the vaccine, you're a science-denying, knuckle-dragging murderer. So again, another enormous story that we're barely aware of. Joe's underwater in everything. With all the inconsistencies and anger about COVID, the media has gone into Operation Change the Subject.
Across Ukraine.
Folds in Ukraine.
Assault against Ukraine.
The guy is a scumbag, but judging from the media, Vladimir Putin cured COVID. It seems to have disappeared. Miraculously. Everyone is walking in lockstep on this. The left-wing mainstream media, left-wing celebrities, left-wing politicians. They are all distraught about Ukraine. It comes off as quite coordinated, doesn't it? And you better not disagree with them.
President Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved.
Stephen King tweeted that Putin's in trouble because this time Trump isn't in office. Yeah, be sure to read Stephen King's newest classic, The Gaslighting. With the honest disclaimer that I'm not pro-Russia, yeah, I'm entitled to some questions. Like, remember when Russia just took Crimea on Obama's watch and people acted like Russia had just gotten Crimea off a Craigslist ad? No biggie. Why didn't you care then? Crimea, I know, that's so 2014, but still it's a nagging thought. Plus, I thought that the left really doesn't mind smash and grabs. And this is just the international version of it, isn't it? Secondly, Trump is supposed to be at fault because he's a Russian asset. So let me get this straight. Russia is at its least aggressive with Trump in office, even though Trump, as a collaborator, would look to strengthen Russian influence to its maximum potential, but Russia just failed to take full advantage of that opportunity for some reason. Instead, they waited for their nemesis, the Democrats and Joe, to get in office, waited more than a year after the whole Democrat apparatus was fully set up. Then they decide to invade. And it just so happens that they're invading when the Democrats are polling at rock bottom, with a large majority of the country unhappy with its domestic leadership. It's just coincidental that there's a full-court propaganda press to focus your full attention on an international situation instead of a domestic one. Excuse me, how much mental balloon folding am I supposed to do to make this work? Third, energy policy. Why did Joe increase our Russian energy expenditures? Trump was not pro-Russia, as demonstrated by his energy policy.
So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas.
We've seen over the last week or so is that a number of European countries are recognizing they need to reduce their own reliance on Russian oil.
Welcome to the party, pal!
But just consider that people are dumping their Russian vodka now. Can we think about this for a moment? If you're a Democrat, you've been saying that Russia literally stole the election
From cheat an election.
and installed a collaborator. That's been the story, that Russia has infiltrated us enough to install a puppet leader. So the Democrats get the presidency, get the Senate, get the House, and then they proceed to increase our dependence on that enemy. If you really believed your own rhetoric about Trump and Russia, you wouldn't need to have a Ukraine situation to get angry, would you? The vodka would be gone day one. The sanctions would be immediate. The propaganda would be nonstop. Why? Because now we see what happens when the Democrats want to politically motivate you. Am I suggesting that the Democrats are in cahoots with Putin to encourage him to go to war? No, but we do know that Biden let slip that he wouldn't be particularly forceful.
And it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, etc.
Fearing this could be seen as a green light for Putin, the White House immediately went into damage control mode.
And as for the media, it's earned every bit of distrust it's received. And yet it marches on unrepentant, undeterred like a sociopath. And we often just proceed to the next batch of lies, half-lies, and omissions. So when they want you to focus on something totally emotionally without question, more than ever you need to pull back. Use your peripheral vision.
Use your peripheral vision.
I am sympathetic to Ukraine, but I definitely smell a wag the dog situation. And as we know, Joe sucks with dogs. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Be sure to pass around to anybody who might like my content. And I'll see you the next time.